Watch a Primagi's story is driven by its large cast. Arc by arc, we dive into each girl's personal conflicts. While some characters shine in the spotlight, others drown in the dark. Last time we covered Miruki, and following interest, I've decided to cover Lemon too. As a character, her arc is more subdued, but I hope I'm able to bring it to light. Let's dive in.
そしてココアレモンです。
Lemon's first appearance in the anime is in episode 6. As our main characters walk home, Miyamu notices someone watching them. Hidden in the dark, behind a lamppost, we meet Lemon, a cowering girl with her eyes hidden. As the girls approach, her mascot steps in. Lemon's feeling overwhelmed, and without a word, her soul spills out. This dense introduction breaks down everything we need to know about Lemon. Lemon lives in the dark. She hides in it, but more importantly, it blinds her. Lemon also struggles with people. Despite her efforts to reach out, she gets easily overwhelmed and tries to escape. In mere minutes, we've learned everything we need to know. It's clear that Lemon needs other people. That's why she came, to ask for advice. But even with Matsuri right there, she just can't do it. When the two finally do speak, Lemon is awkward and oblivious. She seems blind to social convention and others' feelings. This fact is reflected in her design. Lemon's hair is wound up in rings with a long fringe over her eyes. This represents her blindness to herself and the world around her. Does Lemon ever seem unaware? Rude even? It's a small aspect of her character that tends to go unnoticed. In episode 6, after this scene, she asks Matsuri for advice on her debut performance. When asked why she chose her, Lemon clarifies that bigger stars are too intimidating. The following day, Matsuri and Miyamu go to an outdoor restaurant to meet her. Despite prior planning, Lemon shows up late with no apology. Where have we seen this before? In Lemon's first scene, we see the moon. And much like the moon reflects light, Lemon's character reflects Miruki. In episode 2, she didn't perform at her own concert, just like Lemon, and both characters feel intimidated by better performers. In episode 6, after Hina's song, Lemon feels discouraged. Before Lemon can step on stage, she has to overcome this challenge. Her insecurities keep her blind to her own potential. She's able to see Hina as an intimidating rival and Matsuri as a rising star, but when offered the chance to perform, she retreats. Throughout this entire journey, Lemon's mascot Karen has been supporting her. After spotting her keen eye for talent, she hoped that Lemon would see her own potential, but sadly, she just can't. And this is why in her debut performance, she cuts her hair. She says it herself, to see the light. Her idol form reflects this change. Her wound-up hair now flows freely, and her black world is filled with color. From the dyed locks to the stained glass, Lemon is reborn. But true change is rarely that simple.
合宿をみんなで行うことに意味があるってこと？
Following her debut, Lemon struggles with people still exist. She's opened her eyes to the world around her, but it's still a big and scary place. Her first challenge is living with all the girls at the training camp. While she's met them all before, sharing a living space is completely different. Need I remind you that Lemon spends most of her time in a dark room playing MMOs with her online friends. She now has to train with 4 real people to prepare a group performance. Combined with her stamina, she's just not cut out for this. Her and Miruki struggle physically and emotionally to keep up. After a long day of training, the two return to find Hina and Amane ready to sleep in their messy room. As senior performers, they don't care about anything that won't help them win. This leads to an argument nearly dissolving the group before its formation. The group splits between the individualist senior performers and the rookie girls eager to play friends. So why is this the conflict that bothers Lemon? At first, in a whisper and then a yell, Lemon criticizes her peers. This is a pretty big deal considering how timid she is. Despite her fears, Lemon insists that they have to bond. Through platitudes and game references, she struggles to convince the two of her ideas. It's a landmark moment for her, but once again, how much change does this reflect? Lemon's rant here comes from her deep insecurity. Unlike the rest, she's a lot less secure in her friendships. She ignores compliments and places others on a pedestal. This moment might seem assertive, but I've always read it as sad. Hina and Amane aren't entirely wrong. They're all talented performers, and that alone would be enough. But Lemon isn't there yet. Or rather, she doesn't think she is. She doesn't believe that she can stand alone. This is why the group's conflict bothers her so much. Despite all her arguments, she doesn't convince either of them. Even after performing, the two merely gain a bit more respect for her. I think that this is one of the deepest moments in her character arc because it shows how, despite growing in confidence, Lemon still has a long way to go. While anxiety and insecurity are quite valid struggles, they're both also self-conscious. This often leads to Lemon neglecting others' feelings. When Lemon was blinded by her hair, she couldn't see her friend's support or her own potential. There's still a lot left to learn.
みるきさん、申し訳ない。デュオを解消してほしいでござる。無理でござる。
During the duo season, Lemon is paired with Mitiki. We covered this a bit in Mitiki's video, but the two are quite similar. Both are deeply insecure girls, but importantly, they're also quite selfish. After seeing their seniors do a performance, they're feeling discouraged and both want to quit, but the methods they use tell us a lot more about them. Lemon starts panicking in public, prompting Mitiki to push her. With the right words, she's able to convince her to quit without having to admit her own insecurity. It's quite a sad pairing of characters. While Mitiki's aware of her own insecurity, Lemon is completely oblivious, and this is what allows her to be used. It's just another minor way the two are opposites, light and dark. Lemon's decision completely offends her manager, as once again, she's acting alone. We saw this in the first arc when she refused to perform. We saw this in the second arc through her rant at the seniors, and now it's back again. Time after time, Lemon's actions serve her before anyone else. This is the darker side of insecurity. While Lemon was busy in her own head, there were real people around her, people she ignored. If Lemon was struggling, then her manager was right there. You'd think she'd know better, but no, because the very next episode, Lemon does the same thing to Mitiki. Concerned about their chemistry, Lemon plans a long date with her. Well, date is generous. Instead of asking what Mitiki likes, she spends all night planning a long trip around town that might bring them closer. Once again, Lemon has no security in her relationships. During the date, she drags Mitiki around until she's ragged. She's so focused on the plan she doesn't notice Mitiki's exhaustion. Her partner's been walking in heels for hours. Worse yet, this wasn't even her idea. Lemon got the date idea from her seniors. She's still unable to trust herself or her relationships. In response to the terrible date, Mitiki does something really kind. Through her performance, she reassures Lemon that she loves her, that they're already friends, and that she doesn't really have to try so hard. The very next episode, Lemon shows up to Mitiki's house dressed up as her. It's almost comical how insecure she is, if only it wasn't so tragic. This episode is mostly about Mitiki, so we won't dive too deep into it, but the message is that by combining their different flavors, they can create a new strength, a mixture of their sweet and sour personalities. By the end of this arc, Lemon still hasn't learned to trust in her relationships, but is slowly learning to listen to others. So let's see where she goes from here.
心の叫びしかと聞こえた。今こそエレメンツコーデの真の力を解き放て。
Each element in Primagi represents its character. Hina's got fiery passion, and Amane is still on the surface, but full of depth. The newest elements, light and dark, appear when Lemon and Mitiki win the duo season. But why? They're hardly the most talented. I've struggled to justify this, but I'll assume it's because they're similar. After all, that makes the most sense thematically. Light and dark coming together in harmony. So what does Lemon's darkness represent? Well, it represents blindness, specifically a lack of self-awareness. Lemon's insecurity keeps her from recognizing her own potential, as well as how she comes off to others. She's insecure and lonely, but also inconsiderate and rude. These are not contradictory parts of her, but rather cause and effect. Lemon's actions throughout the season inadvertently hurt people. She doesn't mean to, but it still happens. At the start of the duo season, she says she can't win, and yet she does. She works hard for Miruki's love, but she already has it. This is why I feel she's such a tragic character. She starts out lost and alone in the dark, before seeing the bright world around her. Even then, she stumbles through it, hurting herself and others along the way. To overcome the darkness, Lemon must demonstrate full mastery over all that she's struggled with so far.
だからって閉じ込める、ダメだから見捨てる、切り捨てるなど絶対に許せないでござる。
The final trial that Lemon faces is in episode 42. This happens at the start of the Heaven's Elements arc. Put simply, Jennifer, the top idol, has turned evil and the cast is deciding what to do with her. The Magical Council plans to attack Jennifer, but our main cast wants to save her. I'm not the biggest fan of this episode. It feels like a faint echo of much better work. However, I will give it grace for this video. This conflict gives Lemon a chance to show her growth. She listens to both sides of the conflict, evaluates it, and makes a decision. But unlike her past choices, this one serves another person. Lemon chooses to stand up for Jennifer. Even though it puts a lot of pressure on her, even though it's not the popular decision, she chooses to stand up for somebody else. It's quite possible she sees a bit of her past self in Jennifer. Just like her, Jennifer is alone. But Lemon won't let her go unheard. And it's this final step that really highlights Lemon's mastery of self. Lemon rudely defies the council. She speaks up for herself and Jennifer. At the end of her journey, she finds empathy. Learning to connect means making new choices. Previously, Lemon only acted for herself. She ignored other people, but now she considers them. Lemon is finally capable of going beyond herself, reaching out of the dark and toward another person. It's a tepid but fitting end to her arc. Prior to meeting the cast, Lemon could be as selfish as she wanted. Sleep in, slack off, and sob. But the world of friendship demands more. Demands that she considers other people. The hardest part of overcoming insecurity is learning to be a good friend. While her anxiety remains, she learns to manage it, not as her fault, but as her responsibility. She constantly makes the same mistakes, but slowly and surely, she conquers her past self. When facing the pressure of performing a miracle, she finally learns to trust herself, relying on others when needed, and appreciating their help. The moment that Lemon is able to unlock her Heaven's Element form is a culmination of all her past struggles, and a sign that at last, Lemon has mastered the darkness. Lemon's arc seemed pretty tame when I started this script, but now I've come to appreciate her a little more. I really like Primagi's character writing, so I plan to do a few more of these. I've been obsessed with Amane for years at this point, so I really need to get that video going. Big thank you to Patreon and all the patrons who chose to support me. We're having a lot of fun there right now. Vocal Diary just concluded with Poa Poa Puririn, and we're currently reviewing Sugar Sugar Rune as part of the Halloween book club. Be sure to check it out, and thank you to my current patrons: Ella Corcoran, Ayesha Rai, Celine Envoy, Suzaku, Reski Amelia, It's Blue 13, Nye EXE, Mohammed Askan Noor Hakim, Gerard Kachaturian, and La Perla del Gacha. I'd also like to thank Rugia the Green and True, Emar the Fiore lover, and Gabrielle Bambao. With that said, I really hope you enjoyed this video. I will admit Lemon is not my favorite character, but I really do hope I did her justice, so let me know what you thought in the comments. Until then, I will see you guys next time.